Hello there. How's everybody? Hopefully your life is going well. I'm Tomlin Nyback. This is 365 Days Towards Racial Change. Pleasure to have you. Welcome if you are new. We're in day 218, moving right along. We're in story time or extended story time, chapter 27 of Uncle Tom's Cabin. We're going to lay Eva to rest today. But first, I'm concerned about the black line. Are we thinking? What they called him, the Dean of Self-Improvement, Earl Nightingale. To Google him. And one of his quotes, he's quoting somebody else. He says, men just don't think. Are black people thinking, critiquing their position in life, why they are where they are, why something may have failed, something may have been out of reach when they've gone to reach for it, things like that. What's that mean? Why did that happen like that? I know I've had a lot of turning points and pivots in my life, and one of the biggest ones was when I felt, I could change. Something I really wanted bad to happen in my life. And I was like, well, okay, we'll just change it. Turns out that I was further down the rabbit hole. I was covered over in the quicksand. I was mired in my own stuff and had no idea. I had no idea I was still digging the hole and fortifying the trap I was in. It took me decades to just stop digging, to stop laying the foundations of my own entrapment. Right? That's the kind of thinking I'm talking about with black folks. To be an innovator, to tread a new path, to value more than what the world values. Yeah, I'd like to live comfortably and get along well. I know that attracts women and stuff like that. But hopefully our values can get even beyond that. Who taught you to have that value? Right? It's not bad, but do you know why that's important to you? I have an idea of why my values are important to me. I like to know, and I like truth. And I don't like to pretend and parade in front of people. I've done that. You really want to discuss me, ask me to pretend and act. Oh boy, you want to get some pushback and some resistance there. And for the white mind in America, that privilege, power, expectation of favor, ease of movement in society, things like that. I'm happy for you. I'm glad, you are a group of people who are in place in power, and you're exploiting that. That's a natural way things go in the world. Very good, very good. But I kind of wish white people had a little more sensitivity to that. I hear a lot about white people they feel bad when they hear messages like this, or when they're confronted with the past of their ancestors and things like that. I don't know. I can't say how they feel, but it's too bad they don't feel it and work for more equality and change and competition against them. But I guess that's not human nature either. God bless them. I've got plenty of white friends, and this is not a hate speech or hate channel. Uh, Many white mentors, that, think about your favorite person in any discipline. Martha Stewart, if you're into home decor and cooking. Um, I like football. I like Andy Reid with the Chiefs. Now that he was in Philly for a little while and stuff. Think about your favorite artists. I play guitar. A lot of my favorite guitar players are dead, but yeah, these are the guys I take as a model. Well, if I want to get better or be like them, I go to them because they're the cream of the crop. They're the top. White people in general are getting it done, making it happen. So I've got white mentors. Yes, I do. You better believe it. Uh, I go where the power is. I'm trying to rise up too. Yeah, I'm just talking factual about the nature of various institutions. Never said I hated any of them. Just saying, this is the way it is. Therefore, okay, if they've got the education, the smarts, the finances, resources, then I go over there. I don't go to a swamp and chew on rocks. I'm trying to go another direction. Financial literacy is a very important, very serious concern of mine. Are you financially literate? Do you understand how money works, how to make it work for you, where to put it, how to handle it? You want to go beyond the bank account. God forbid you are a slave to check cashing. If you messed up your finances to that degree where a bank won't even come near you, then try to repair that and get at least into the mainstream where you're not paying for your money. It's like you work for your money. Uncle Sam, all kinds of agencies are already snatching at it, right? And then you got to take what's left and go and give it to a man, a woman, an agency to exchange it. You want to do better than that. Don't pay for it to get your own money. Damn. You're really going to have a hard time getting someplace acting like that. Financial literacy. That's just a basic today. We won't get into higher structures about beating inflation, putting your money and sending your money into the future and things like that. I'm inspired to do this work by a man named Dr. Claude Anderson. Read 3 of his works: Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask, Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power and Economic Justice, and Dr. Anderson's Plan to Empower Black America, Powernomics. You can find Dr. Anderson at powernomics.com, at least the website. I've never met the man or talked to him at all. I'd love to trade some ideas with him sometime. We'll see what the future holds. Behind me, you'll see the hashtag #us2 symbol. This is for Black women. Supporting one another, having their conversation. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF, Black Facebook Experience. If you can't find your flavor here on the World Wide Web, do what I did. Start your own video log or some kind of thing. And I've got a private email list going. Put your family on it and see what happens. Every month or so, I get a new subscriber. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm not trying to explode some big ass movement on Facebook or anything like that. I'm an introvert, discreet, privacy, And we are in our extended time of story time. I encourage you to get this book too, Uncle Tom's Cabin, to get an idea of what we're talking about, fictional narrative of the life of a slave masters, and things like that. And we get along go move along in that story. We're having an extended time here. In light of me being on vacation, I crammed a whole lot of fun stuff. I love story time. I love the meatier subjects too. We're going to get, we're going back to school. Literally, I'm going back to school to finish my philosophy degree, and we're going back to school here at racial change too. I'm going to get into some heavy subjects when I get back. All right, we're in chapter 27. We talked about, had a little tribute to John Quincy Adams, real champion of abolition and other matters, argued for the black people who took over the Amistad and won back in 1841. Very dynamic individual. I mentioned him because this chapter is kind of his namesake. Harriet Beecher Stowe put his name at the beginning of this chapter and in the title. All right, but what we're really getting at in chapter 27 is Eva's burial. She had a long life, a lot of evangelism, encouragement spiritual, emotional growth. A lot of lives are changed and pivoted on uh, her influence, from her influence in the book. Maybe that's why John Quincy Adams' shout out is situated where it is as well. Eva is, she's laid out on her bed. She's dressed in white. Everything's draped over. This is kind of a traditional burial, even for that time. Uh, I guess for those people who could do it that way. They're not going to keep her around long, keep a body around long, especially in the summertime. Even though they are by the cool of the lake, they've got to make some decisions very quickly about the body. Um, so they probably anticipated this. We find her coffin arrives, the next day or so at the most, and things like that. He was dressed in white. Uh, she's positioned as though she's sleeping. You've been to a funeral. I've been to a couple. Right. Last one was my father. Laid out, groomed, things like that. So this Louisiana funeral, she's able to be stretched out. All the items in the room are draped over, stuff like that. It's a quiet space. Everyone's walking on eggshells in and out of the room. And it's not interesting. The person's gone. It's not like they're going to shoot up, stand up and say, I got you. They're gone. They're not. But it's interesting what we do with our loved ones. It's easy. In life, we were throwing pots and pans, cussing and stuff. But when they're laid out, stretched out, we're very subdued, sober, and all that. Everybody's on eggshells. Topsy, has had a huge change in life. Eva really impacted Topsy. Eva was the first person to show genuine love to Topsy, and that put Topsy on the road of recovery and civilization. That's for Topsy. She wants to present a flower. The grown-ups are like, "Oh, get her away." And Rosa has issues with Topsy. Rosa's another house slave who um, does not like the newcomer anyway. Full of mischief, always watching her. She knows Topsy's stealing something and all that. That it's Topsy's only point of love, the first love. So Topsy wants to give a flower and all that. So St. Clair says, just leave the girl alone. Let her put the flower amongst uh, the other articles, gifts that people have delivered. Topsy's fulfilling her word, right? Eva says every day, I want a flower or arrangement from Topsy. Topsy continues the tradition, and in that moment, Ophelia makes her personal commitment to hanging there with Topsy. She owns Topsy now, and her intention, I don't think it's a big spoiler alert. Well, maybe I think it's later in the story we're going to find she's going to take Topsy up north and with her, get her educated, get her independent, competitive, and round out her mission with Topsy that she started. We like Ophelia for that too. She made a commitment. She's going to make this happen. It's very real. It's important. She values this, and she wants it to happen. Standard funeral. Carriage comes up. It's got a little coffin. The girl's pre-teen, 11, 12 at best, and so the coffin, very small, maybe 4 feet, or maybe 4.5, 5 feet. Very small, little tiny coffin, and she's in there, and they have the funeral. As we can expect, here's Marie. And what do we expect from Marie? We already know. Hopefully you have the book, and if you've been here, every time I mention Marie, what's happening when I mention Marie? Some shenanigans, foolishness, drama queen, just Marie just does not live life well. She's got no filters. Her etiquette is poor, except as what appears to be high fashion, high fashionable for white folks. She knows, she's quick. She jumps at that high society and stuff like that. She's there with that. But even then, she's drama queen, foolishness, a narcissistic, calling attention to herself. It's just a mess. You're like, oh boy. Talk about walking on eggshells for the dead. I mean, you're like, oh, like, don't tell me to go ask Marie for something. It's going to be something. You know people like that. I got a young lady at work, it's like, nobody likes to talk to this girl because she's got grief with her. And she likes the grief. All she knows is grief, right? And we're working. We're trying to get this stuff moved. It's logistics. We're trying to get this stuff out the door, but we got to deal with this girl, and it's going to be grief. And she's got to have, it's the right way to do it, but she suddenly made it the wrong way. And management's working around that, because they can't fire her. They need the hands. The damn bitch. You just got to deal with her. Dare not have to. You're just trying to do everything not to deal with her. All right, that's Marie. All right, Marie calls the doctor. I'm dying. Eva's okay. We took care of Eva. Now she's quickly scrambling to get her thing together. I mean, literally, she tells the doctor she has the heart problem. She's dying. She's sure of it. That's Marie. Hey, but it's important for this dysfunction and stuff to be exposed in the story. I think it's appropriate too. Could you think, this is a white lady, total privilege, doesn't have to work a day in her life and all that, and the best she can come up with is to interfere with somebody else's life and get people to jump and go in circles whenever she's around and stuff like that. I don't have a high tolerance for that. I stay away because if I stay around, They're eventually going to encroach on my mental space, and I'm going to let them know. I can't help it. I do that. Tom's taken to shadowing St. Clair. It's already started. Tom and St. Clair's relationship has already started to become close. More initiated by Tom. It's not St. Clair seeking Tom as Eva would have, but Tom is seeking out St. Clair. Tom's concerned that Tom has interesting issues and interests because he notices a person drinking too much, and he'll say something. He says something about the ethics and morality of folks. So he's starting to gravitate towards St. Clair. He notices St. Clair is without his focal point, his support, his reason to live, and his reason to do right. And Tom is just that kind of guy to get close to someone hurting. He's just as he has that empath nature, empathetic nature to himself to go in that direction. Family, slaves get back to the city. Now they're back in Louisiana. Back in New Orleans, south of Lake Pontchartrain. And St. Clair just throws himself into activity. And you might think everybody, this tragic death. Everybody's just trying to move on. It's slow at first, but eventually you get your legs. You lose a person close to you. It's like losing a limb, losing a sense. You gotta totally relearn some skills and some things. And St. Clair's just trying to move on. He's trying to say, man, he's heartbroken. Nothing that he can do. The living must go on and move on. He gets busy. And Marie, she claims, she says she's mourning the most out of this whole ordeal. Claims St. Clair is too apathetic and doesn't care. St. Clair's not showing enough remorse over his daughter's death. And says she's the example of mourning and stuff of her daughter, while she's still trying to, call attention to herself and her imaginary illnesses. St. Clair goes through a deep depression. He stops eating. He gets some encouragement from Tom to look up. I went through a very very severe clinical depression. It was around getting off of drugs and staying clean and sober, losing some opportunities in life back in my mid-20s. I really should have been hospitalized. I wasn't eating, and I was okay with that. It was a very sad time. It was disillusionment about, who am I really? Why did I do that? I really didn't want to do that, but I did it anyway. Hurt a lot of people and whatnot, and I had a real strong conviction around that. And I didn't have any access to answers. I was about as close. If I had been any closer to church, I would have been a brick in the wall. Right? Religion wasn't helping me. The environment I was in wasn't supportive of what I was going through. I was actually under suspicion. I was in a shelter. I was actually under suspicion because my cheeks were sunk in, lost a lot of weight, very lethargic, apathetic, didn't care. I was ready to be hospitalized. Should have been hospitalized. but those that I gave power to, very ignorant people, uh, just did their stuff at the mission and went back to their, quiet, secure neighborhoods, rolled on the floor with their pets and children, you know. But after they were with us, it was like Ophelia type thing. So yeah, I went through that. I get what St. Clair is going through. This huge change of life. You know, this incredible God taking 11 and 12-year-olds, from us that are such a gift to us while they're here. So I felt that St. Clair, I relate to St. Clair's problems here. He's wrestling again with more biblical, spiritual truths and all of that. And here now he's presented again. Now Tom's says he's willing to trade his life if Master would be saved and stuff like that. It's just too much, And I got some misgivings about how religion is used to control slaves and stuff like that. So in some ways, uh, there's some disappointment from me towards Tom being so sacrificial in that way, although I understand his motivation why he's doing that. He wants the Master to be saved, St. Clair to be saved and whatnot. And we find later on he's struggling trying to read some portions of the Bible. He's in John chapter 11 in the New Testament. St. Clair's like, Tom, do you want me to read for you? I'm not doing anything. Let me take a shot at it. And so he reads chapter 11 of John. And that's chapter, one of Jesus' most famous raising of the dead of his good friend Lazarus, right? Raises Lazarus from the dead. If you watch a movie called The Greatest Story Ever Told, the intermission happens right after Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. Now that's not the only, let me just sidetrack a little bit, that's not the only time Jesus raised anyone from the dead. There are 3 recorded times that Jesus raised people from the dead, a little girl, and also a young boy. And the text, the Gospels also indicate that Jesus gave power to his disciples to do the very same thing within the 3 years of his ministry. The first missionary journeys of his immediate disciples, included that they cast out demons, raised the dead, healed, and all this stuff. So it's not some unique experience in the Bible to raise somebody from the dead. But there's plenty of instances of that in the Old Testament as well. St. Clair's faith is an enigma. I don't get it. Yeah. This guy can raise people from the dead. Where's he at? Where's this Jesus? A lot of questions and stuff, but it's the questions that get the ball rolling, the right questions. That's why I'm concerned about the mind of black folk, asking the right questions, critiquing a situation and circumstances. Why are you doing what you do? What's your motivation about that? St. Clair, he's the kind of guy, he needs that argument to be very clear and connected in his mind for him to be engaged in an activity. He doesn't just do crazy stuff to be doing crazy stuff. He needs that to have a clear, concise argument. And Tom prays, again, he's praying for people to bring St. Clair closer to whatever the truth is, to whatever his needs are at the time. So, hey, listen, thanks for hanging out with me. I don't want to hold you hostage today. That's day 218 out of the way of 365 days towards racial change. We're moving right along. Come back and see me tomorrow. I beg you. Bye-bye. Have a great day.